And, I'll give you some tips, techniques, strategies that I've learned along the way that I think will be helpful for you. And, you know, by no means am I the end all answer, but, I've been doing this now for 6 years. So I think I have a good take in what works based on what I've seen. I like to think that I'd be a pretty darn good realtor if I was one. Because ultimately I think real estate's all about relationship. I really think it's all about, winning friends and influencing people, and obviously presenting value along the way. So what I love most about Facebook lead generation is that it levels the playing field. There's no one starts with like, I've done 100 deals and I'm the Zillow Premier Agent or whatever that is that you've done. Everyone starts at the same place, and so it's your ability to connect with that person. It doesn't matter how much experience you've had, how many years you've been in real estate. I could take a brand new agent and I can, they could be a lot more successful than you with this platform. If you're, based on, I'm a top 1% of my place, like whatever that is, well, I'm like, good, that's great. But can you connect with that person, make them feel like they want to talk to you? Once you get that, that's the key. So let me just get this going and then we'll start. New activity, recent post. I'm gonna send this into the top. And in the meantime, I saw some of you are gonna be, we're just getting a couple more people in here. Some of you are gonna be brand new. Some of you are going to, be seasoned. And obviously I'd love to get some of your own experience on what's worked for you. I mean, hey, Juan, you've been in it. You've gotten some cool things. I've seen some of your posts in there, and some of your time blocks even. And I think that's awesome. So if you want to kind of, based on what you've learned so far, I'll let you kind of take it while I set this up into Facebook. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what you've learned so far since starting StreetText, both in, how you connect with people and then kind of how you started to customize a few things based on the experience with StreetText.
Well, during that initial trial period, one of the things that really helped me to start getting an idea of what StreetText was about were basically listening to these webinars that would happen every Wednesday. And from that, we learned how to basically take some kind of systematic follow-up process. And on top of that, one of the great things is that the people, all the other realtors on StreetText, they love to help one another. I mean, anytime I had a question, either I do it as a post on the group, or I reach out to them individually on Facebook, and everybody has been so 100% geared toward helping each other out. So that was one of the really fantastic things on that front. And as I kept taking these webinar classes, and then on in conjunction with your trial period when you basically are trying to make a decision, it kind of almost turned into like a no-brainer for me. You had a community that was willing to assist and help no matter what. And then you have a program that many others seem to have really, really good success. So for me, those were the two factors that right away sort of allowed me to say, okay, that checks off that box, that checks off that box. So then in the interim, as you're learning all this information, because in the beginning, it is a lot of information and you're taking notes and you're asking questions. And then we realize, okay, hey, I need to have some kind of day-by-day process of what we're going to need to do, or what am I going to need to do as I go ahead and follow up with these leads. That turned into setting something up that I could basically look at on a daily basis. Then that turned into listening to you guys in reference to going in and sort of manipulating what Julie does, what the automations do, and then with every single thing that you're listening to and you're reading about from posts, you learn about HomeBot, you learn about all these other platforms that are only going to assist and help. And then once you're on that wagon, it's kind of hard to step off because you're finding out that the stuff is working. It's working for you. You're understanding things, and maybe you don't have something that's, quote unquote, a win right away, but just the fact that you're understanding it and that you're able to sort of control it to your liking, that's a win as well.
Thanks for sharing. Yeah, I mean,
Sure.
how have you felt? What's been the biggest takeaway for you for a lead? You know, because I think everybody is coming into StreetText, and some people on trial, and they're like, wow, first and foremost, I have to understand how to split test and A/B test these funnels and start driving my cost per lead, a certain direction, so I'm not wasting money. But then secondly, how do I follow up with, a lead that's maybe only given me an address or an address and an email, and how do I make that email only, for example, uh, how do I connect with that guy or that gal, to make them feel like they can talk to me, to get a two-way conversation started? What have you learned in that process?
Well, I've learned that you have to be, number one, you have to be open to allow yourself, like we were talking earlier, that trying to make that connection somehow, some way. And part of the because when we're as realtors, we obviously like to talk. We obviously like to make connections with people. We're in the business of helping people. Yes, we want to make money, but we're in the business of helping people. So if we take that core value of trying to help the our customers, our clients, and you use that in every aspect of what you're doing within StreetText, you're bound to ultimately connect and have a win. I think that the the technical aspects of learning how to split test, that took a little bit, but in reality it's not that hard. Once you get a hang of it and you do your first one and then you do your second one, now you're automatically now thinking, okay, how can I add emojis? How can I take, have this fantastic listing, and they're by the lake, they have beautiful sunset. How can you take advantage of that aspect into your ads? So not only are you now implementing more of your personality, but you're also learning the technical aspect of it. So it's kind of like a two-lane highway, and when this group of cars goes, this group of car goes, at some point they crisscross and they intersect each other, and I find that at some point or another there's going to be one person that's going to look through that window and they're going to do like that to me, and I'm going to catch them. So
That's important. What I like to tell people is that you got to always take off the shoe of the real estate agent and put on the shoe of the homeowner. And in that process, really identify what that experience looks and feels like from that homeowner's perspective. And that means, see your own ad, view your own ad, and start scrolling down the news feed of your Facebook, and just imagine, where you log in every single day, where people go to Facebook, where they, and the first thing that you all do it, and I know you do it, and if you don't do it, good on you for the willpower. But we all go to Facebook and we literally click on our Facebook app on our phones. And what's the first thing we do? Well, most of us look to see if we have any messages, like if we're, at all savvy at this most, and a lot of us are going to go check our notifications. There's too little, that's the dopamine releasing. We're like, we want to know, what's going on, who's contacting us, who's commenting on what. Okay. After we're done being flooded by, that, good feeling of people know me, like me, and they trust me, type of feel. Now we go into the news feed. And the news feed is where that homeowner just starts scrolling down their Facebook and just looking at people's updates. Some are, they love and inspiring and encouraging. Others are like, unfollow. I don't need to hear all your political posts all the time. Da da da, conspiracy. Fun. We all have those type of people. And then that's where the ad appears. And the ad is just disguised. It's a passive style of marketing, and no one knows it's you, because it's a small, tiny name of you on that business page. What their eyes are drawn to is the image, first and foremost. That's why that map works so well. And then they're drawn to something that's organic or native. So some of you, when you move beyond the trial, you start looking at the "What's Your Home Really Worth" funnel, or any, buyer or listing funnel, and they just want to see something that tracks the eye and that's familiar to them. So, less wordy, more about, an easy, what's your home really worth? Enter your address, receive your home value. There's complete integrity in that process, because we're not asking you for all your phone number and information up front. That's why it's called a micro commitment dynamic funnel. This is why StreetText has been so successful with that, as opposed to the lead ad. Now, anybody that knows the lead ad, that's just a Facebook lead form that captures all the information up front. There's a reason for it, but it depends on your call to action. Depends on what type of lead you're getting. So when you're working in the model of this, and everybody should at some point be working with your coach to understand which funnel does what numbers you're looking for, what's your stats, which they should be, what's your click to contact ratio? Is it sitting above 50% on that funnel? That's a good thing. What's your address to email ratio? Because usually for every 3 addresses, I find at least 1 email should be coming in. What's your email to phone number ratio? Similarly, for every 1 email, or I should say 3 emails, 1 phone number. And if you're following that type of model, now it's just shifting into, okay, what's my process look like? What's my follow-up like? How am I getting this person to feel like they can connect with me? That, how do I do that? Well, it's as simple as being yourself, smiling, not being scripted, and just, off the cuff, I would say something like this in my automated video email experience. Because if I know that 1 in 3 of those addresses are becoming an email, then I need to make sure that at the very minimum, the experience I'm setting inside of that email inbox that they're getting is an experience that's going to connect, that humanizes the process, that makes that person feel like it's genuine. It's not, I'm trying to sell your home. It's going to be like, hey, it's Marcus from Remax Kelowna. Thank you so much for clicking on my Facebook ad. I just want to let you know this is a complimentary process. There's no obligation attached to it. It is my way of giving them back. But before I start working on your home value, I just have a few quick questions. I don't want to give you the internet's best guess. It's all over the place. Your home is custom. It's unlike anybody else's, something like that, right? That is the connection. That's the simply, they're going to read your body language. They're going to read your tonality. They're going to see if, even for people that don't necessarily watch that video, there's this GIF inside of a video email element that when they go there, they can see you smiling. They can see your personality. It's important to recognize what's happening in the background. I always get the questions like, where are you? What is that, a boat? Is that a bus? I get all these questions, but again, it's great because it's a conversation starter. And you just want to obviously focus on lighting, headspace. A lot of that stuff is what you learn over time. If people look at you and you're like, your eyes are dim, you're dark in a dark place, you're sitting in, if they see that part of you, I guarantee you're not going to get results. That's the first impression you're giving.
And what's really interesting is that it takes no time to practice. We practice whether we're going on listing presentations, we practice whether we're learning how to read body language when we're actually having, let's say, a husband and wife, and one wants this and the other one wants that. It's very, very similar. And realtors on here, one of the other great things is the relationships that we as realtors establish with each other. Because I get to a point now where one of the other STers, we email each other just so that, because realtors know what they need to look for. Just as an example, we were trying to figure out what happens when you click the button on your signature that says read my reviews. And we sort of did these little YouTube videos that just showed about 5 or 6 reviews, and between Liza and I, we basically gave each other some feedback, fixed what needed to be fixed, and same thing with the leads. Have your friends or have your neighbor or somebody that is going to give you good feedback, and then this way the unknown becomes known, and then you'll feel more comfortable with what you're doing.
Well said. Yeah, I mean, and everybody is going to be stronger in certain areas than others. But if you cannot get a conversation initiated, it's just going to be hard, and you're always going to be backpedaling. So you got to think about that experience you're setting in that tone, and you got to think of that through all your communications. You got to think about it in the experience from the email going out. If there is a text message, what's the text message look and feel like, and so some of that is obviously you're going to learn by trial and error, because I think you'll quickly realize that Julie is an automation that doesn't always go out with the first text. She goes out sometimes with the second text. And so we've created a place inside of the dashboard, or I'll show you here inside of our Facebook group. And if you go into like the announcement section of this Facebook group, there's always something of gold that you should be paying attention to. I will highlight that shortly here, like this one from Melissa Porter. But like Ira made this great post about, the constant answers that they get from Juliet say, who's this? And that's essentially because the carrier they're using is not getting the first text message, but they're getting the second text message that says, just let me know if I can help. So what we've told people is, instead you edit these messages with this type of messaging to get those better received. Hey, just Julie again with Juan, just going to kind of use you there, Juan, with Juan from Remax, we just received your request for the home value on Facebook, and we're looking forward to getting that to you. In the meantime, is there any renos or things you feel like it affects its value, right? And so the key is that you set something up like that instead of the area, just let me know if I can help, because then even if the first didn't go out, the second one will be received, that one 11 minutes later. And again, this is all just kind of higher learning. You kind of go into this and you come to these workshops because it's about, okay, what am I working on this week with StreetText? Some of you are like, well, I'm in trial. I'm just kind of trying to feel this out. And sometimes it's about, okay, what's working, what's not working? What do we need to improve to make this better? And so you're literally measuring it on a week-to-week basis, in a week sprints. I wish I had a solution for you that was just like, boom, it's all done. You're going to get a listing appointment next week. Some people actually grab listing appointments in the first week, and then they're like, oh, I'm going to get an appointment every week. This is going to be amazing, right? And then other people, don't do anything for the first few months, and all of a sudden, month 3, appointments start booking, and then all of a sudden those turn into multiple appointments, and before you know it, they're 6 months in and they've got multiple deals, and then a year in, and then before you know it, you're Jennifer Salter, who's done 19 deals in 19 months, right? But the top of funnel is all about the pipeline, and the pipeline is all about being a go-giver. It's about seeing, like, this is the pay it forward model. This is not the these leads are ready to transact with you today model. If you want to go do that, go spend a bunch of money with Zillow and be in a premier exclusive realtor with their zip codes. So if you thought that's what Facebook was going to be for you, you're unfortunately really wrong, and you didn't do your research, or you got sold. The truth is, it's not. The top of funnel is interruption-based marketing. It's a passive style of marketing. It's literally no one's on Facebook today looking to buy or sell anything. At least they don't think they are. So if you try to sell them yourself and just say, hey, I noticed that you're looking to sell in the next 3 months, and you've done all these great updates and renovations. When can I come over? Good luck, right? On the other side, hey, I just got your Facebook home valuation request. I want to make sure that this is complimentary. I'm sure you're a savvy, sophisticated homes owner, and you've done your research. Zillow, Realtor, Redfin, they're going to give you all these different values. I actually do an in-depth market analysis, and here's how I go about it. But before I can start working on that information, I do have a few quick questions, right? That's a little bit different. Or even look at this model right here with Melissa Porter, who's done 4 listing appointments. A lot of that is the art of figuring out your subject lines. A lot of that is the art of figuring out your open rates, because you cannot imagine and think that your automation is going to do the job for you. It's only there when you can't be, but you need to go out there and personally send emails. This is why when you look at, like a gal like, I'll show you here, like Jennifer Salter, people are jumping all over this course because she's got 90% open rates on her emails. But it's not a 90% open rate on her automation. It's a 90% open rate after letting her automation start it. And if it's not open, or if even if it is open, there's a second, third, there's a fourth email. There's all these ways she's personally touching on them. And if they don't receive it, and she knows it's going to somewhere, some folder, so she'll disguise it, change the subject line a little bit, change the name on the subject line, change the body a little bit, because eventually she will get that open and her communication will come across, and that communication will be genuine and authentic. She'll always be smiling, she'll always be bubbly, and she'll just be herself. And that person will receive it. And then, there's just a matter of a flow, a process that starts happening. Okay, then what does she send next? How often is she checking in? Because everybody thinks that you just give them a home value and then you're like, oh, I gave them what they needed, I'm done. If you do that, you're going to lose your leverage, and it's right. And you need to help identify, and get questions answered, because the question isn't how many updates or renovations have you done. There's a lot more questions you should be asking. And you need to start thinking about the psychology of that homeowner. Like, a lot of you actually need to start considering this is more psychology than it is actual home. What's happening? Where are we at? What's this day and age that we're in? We're in the COVID era. There's a lot of people, there's mass exoduses happening all over the United States and Canada, basically because, hey, is this where I want to be? Politically, things are shifting. Is this where I want to be? Right? A lot of people are saying, is this where I want to spend my time if I have to be in isolation? Do I want to downsize? Do I want to be closer to family? Where do I want to go? What are the questions you're not asking? And how are you making that person feel safe? How are you navigating through the COVID protocols? How are you showing them that you can use virtual connections, that they can take out their FaceTime, that they can send pictures, that they can connect on Zoom? How are you making that person feel? I think a lot of us, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, just tagging along what you say, because like we on our end as realtors, we don't know what the mindset is exactly of that person clicking that ad. But through our following up as realtors, ultimately we can find out what initiated that click. Is it just more than that they're curious, or is it the fact, like I had one person, they wrote curious, but once I started the conversation, I found out that they wanted to move, because I'm in the Orlando area. They wanted to actually move to Tampa to be closer to the daughter that just got married 2 weekends ago, and therefore they were saying that, hey, we want to be near the grandchildren, even though the distance between Florida and excuse me, between Orlando and Tampa is not that big of a deal. But the husband also now is working in Tampa. So all these things I wouldn't have known unless I started to try to follow up and make the conversation. And the automations are not going to take that out of a lead. It's you as a realtor that has to find out why they clicked on that ad.
Love it. And the automations are meant to be more there when you can't be, and just continue to reinforce your personality and your contribution focus, and have fun with it a little bit. Like, that's why Jennifer Salter, she just, and Wendy and all these people, they just kind of throw in videos there that, just in case they're not getting there, also the personal follow-up is going to continue to nurture and drip with their personality, especially in the first week. But outside of that, then your systems start taking place. Then you're looking into things like HomeBot, perhaps, right? That's or in this Canada, maybe a home beater, systems that will naturally have high value, high interaction scores, and so forth. And then nothing's going to take the place of every month going back to the very bottom of that first lead you ever generated and working back up and just doing a casual check-in. A lot of the stuff is you guys learning copy paste, copy paste, copy paste. It's that intelligent. Once you start thinking about this, it's about you scaling yourself one to many. It's about you, like I have perfected that in the art of what I do from the StreetText side with you guys. There's no reason why you can't do the same with your leads. Mine's a little bit different. Like, mine is still you guys testing out StreetText, trying to figure out if it's a fit for you, trying to figure out how to do what, when, how, all this good stuff with StreetText. So I'm like, okay, for you guys in trials, I'll start it for you, But I'm really gonna see if you're motivated by you, if you're gonna be coming and attending classes and training and kind of trying to figure out if you're willing to do it. If you're not willing to do the work, then this is not gonna be a fit for you, right? If you think you're gonna buy into a program that they're managing your ads for you and managing your follow-up, then you need to be prepared to spend thousands and thousands of dollars to do that. There's no company that can offer what we offer from anywhere. Where I think we're, anywhere from like maybe $5.50 to $6 a day if you actually break it down for what we do. But your true cost is in the Facebook marketing and advertising side. And so you have to really know that you don't let your ad just continue spending and getting crappy results. That's on you, right? Because every day you've set an ad budget behind that ad. And if that ad's not producing, whose fault? You just should have turned it off when it was not giving you results. Because Facebook will always spend your money. That's what they do great. They say, you set an ad budget behind it. I don't care what we'll do. Well, even if that cost per click is $5 or $9 and your ad spend is $9 and I'm going to give you one click, I spent your money. So we need to really learn not only how to become proficient at fishing on Facebook and becoming, essentially fishers of Facebook leads. And that takes some time and practice. And then also in the same extent, okay, once we actually catch that fish, how do we turn that fish into a gourmet dinner? Right. And I like to think of it as a model of, anyone know the parable of the seed, right? The parable of the seed is that some will plant the seed and the thorns will come up and take it away. Some will plant the seed and they'll nurture it and, and water it and cultivate it. And 30, 60, 100 times return will come from it. So it's all about what you're willing to do with that lead, how you're willing to contribute, how you're willing to create an experience. No matter what, you're all about giving. You're all about, no matter, even if they ghost you, even if they don't respond to you, you're going to treat every single person the same. You're going to give them a world-class experience. You're going to build your automations that way, your personal follow-up the way you leave voicemails, the way you send text messages, the way you leave video emails, how you present that home value to them, and then what you're going to do to constantly check in. And before you know it, you're going to look back and you're going to see a bunch of fruit that came out of that experience. Or you're going to look back and you're going to be pretty bitter and resentful that you spent all this money with StreetText because you didn't do anything with the leads. And then you're going to quickly start. I do it all the time with people. I'm like, they start vetting their leads. Months later, they come back with StreetText and they're like, "You're right, Marcus. I didn't do what I need to do, and now I can vet all these leads that I go and I can see they listed with another realtor."
Hey, Marcus,
Yeah.
can we go back to something for a minute? What I've been doing, I'm new to this. I went through my trial and I just signed up last week. I copied somebody's ID. I send out a quick bomb video, "Hi, this is me. I'm going to send, market out analysis real soon, blah, blah, blah." Then I go to RPR, pump in the address. Hopefully it comes up. I've had a couple not come up, and send them out a report. I'm not sending them any text or email asking them to answer any questions. So really my question is, for people that are doing that, if they are not responding to you with any kind of information on the property, are you still sending out a report after that, or just ignoring that? I am curious as to what people are using to send out reports as well. And just a third thing, I am curious if you're in a bus or whatever it is.
I'll answer that one first. This is a utility trailer. So my wife, she has a television show that she created, and this was part of the podcast that she had. So she designed this utility. My wife's the most amazing gal. She's a handyman. She loves renovations, and like she taught me how to change my first tire, right?
Well, hopefully you don't end up living there. So, be careful.
No, it's right outside of my house. So this is,
that could be your house.
So it's awesome. I'm connected to my house. I can go in and hang out with the kids, but this kind of gets me away from them. I'm in Canada, so it's got a nice baseboard heater, nice and warm. I'm literally sitting on a fridge. That's my seat, and I've got lighting. It's great. It's just perfect for me to get away from everybody. But answering your question, I think there's no one way. I think there's literally 1,000 ways to skin the cat, 1,000 ways to convert the lead. I think what you want to start looking at and identifying with is, when you come to these masterminds, start kind of cluing in on who's successful. And if you're not coming in the masterminds, that's where you need to start, because every Wednesday, at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 12 p.m. Eastern, we all come together. And most of our most successful agents are there. And so what you start doing is you start gleaming, what are they doing? What integrations are they using? What's their scripts like? What are their strategies? What, you know, how are they sending the home value? And you kind of understanding, okay, well, like Janki Patel, for example, she doesn't really use video, but she's powerful with ISAs and she's more of a team player. And she's just really good at picking up the phone. And then she has a lot of great print that she gets to people as well. Even the CMAs, for that matter, she'll have a nice folder and she'll send it to them personally. So, she's got a little bit of higher budget for that. And she's also in a very high end market where she has to kind of compete that way. But Jennifer Salter, on the other hand, is, she comes from a background teaching third graders. And she takes that teaching component, brand new into real estate, started with StreetText, didn't have more than $5 to $7 a day on Facebook running at the time, and reinvented the entire process that StreetText has. She actually literally went into every single email that we had and every single text message and decided to make it better and more personal. And then she started kind of going in there and started saying, you know what, I don't like the way this email goes out. I'm going to turn this one off. I'm going to add in this email for this day. And then I'm going to add a text that goes after this email, because you can go in there and add actions and customize all those. So it's sometimes learning that you have the ability to customize all this. And really, I mean, I think the key is you do get them something, because that's what they requested. That's your integrity. That's the value. You want to give them something. But how much you give them is up to you. Jennifer will go in there and communicate a value that's within $10,000 of what she thinks is the range, instead of doing the Zillow Truly a Realtor model and really communicating why they need to meet with you. She'll go in there and actually show people why she thinks their home's worth this, based on her MLS, similar square footage, bedrooms, bathrooms in that same area. And how instead of using, this is what I'd list your home for, she'll use words like, this is what I would position your home on the market for. A lot more clever, right? Language, sometimes one word shifts it. Go ahead, Juan. I think you're wanting to say something.
Yes, I was actually, Philip, with the course, but also by learning with masterminds, is some people are successful with the automations without even making any changes to them. They're just lucky because they probably have an area where no changes just simply works for them. My area is very competitive, and so I need to tinker and tweak the subject lines and all of that. But the whole idea, when you send them the stuff and you're looking, one of the great things about BombBomb is that it lets you know whether that lead opened that video or that email, and it also lets you know whether that lead clicked on the video. So you'll know that information. And if you're seeing that it's not being clicked on or open, there is another automation that says, I think it's a question and answer or something to that effect. I went ahead and I changed mine, and I had that little flashing phone thing with
Yep.
I think it's the app called Big, and it's got their name flashing. And basically, you're saying, hey, did you get it? And if you get a message like that, you're going to want to open it up to figure out what the person is trying to tell you. Again, trying to establish that connection. So yeah, definitely keep following up, because some people are maybe just slow. Maybe they work odd hours and they just can't open that email. So don't give up on them.
I also have a paradigm shift I have to get around myself, because I was very successful on Zillow at one time, what we'll call the golden days of Zillow, when there was our ROI there. And I eventually got kicked out the back end. But what I always had a lot of success with was cold calling, getting people on the phone, talking to them. I have no problem with that. I have found over the years that email, people don't respond to email. So now I'm in a system here where I'm not getting phone numbers, and that's part of it. It's only email. So I have to, learn to tweak the responses there.
Or less phone numbers. And part of what I would challenge you to is, if you're really going after the phone number lead, focus on lead ads, because that's the upfront submissions. Obviously, buyers are a great way to go with that. And
No, and I'm going after, I have buyer lead sources and
Well, yeah, and guess what? These buyers are actual, we call it the buyer to seller funnel, because these buyers are actually sellers.
Mhm.
Because you're running buyer ads on Facebook, by the way, most of these people are, they're so early into that process that they actually have to sell first. So, you know, Janky has actually made some of her best seller conversions on buyer ads. So just something to think about.
I mean, I'm not running any buyer ads right now. I mean,
And it's really easy. It's really easy. Some of these funnels on the buyer side are producing like $2 to $3 phone numbers, you know, and all the rest of the information.
Is there an additional cost to do that if you want to start running buyer? It's all part of the same.
Part of what you got to recognize about StreetText is that there's 32 funnel templates that you can run ads from. Your only cost outside of what you purchase StreetText with is what you spend on Facebook. So, you know, you could run 25 ads. You know, I wouldn't advise that. But, you know, part of the understanding the StreetText Go Fish, you know, we're playing Go Fish, is running ads in a split test manner just for 24 to 48 hours to find the lowest cost lead, and then predictably letting the ad kind of kick in at a manageable daily ad spend based on that lead flow, of course. And then with that being said, then you need to quickly shift into, okay, what is this lead getting? What's the automation doing? How am I going to make this connection from the email standpoint, from the phone number standpoint, from the AIs going out? How is that person feeling? Like, what's the experience like? So I ultimately always ask everybody is, before you simply just go in and start generating a bunch of leads, put everything on pause for a second and almost deconstruct and reverse engineer the process the way you'd want it to look and feel. Because it won't be a matter of ads. It won't be a matter of, it'll be more of a matter of, okay, what's shooting off? What's shooting off as a text, as an email, especially when I can't be there and pick up the phone, I can't be there. And like, how is that presenting myself? How is it setting me up for the next steps for what they're going to get, what I'm going to need, and how I'm going to send personal follow-up as well. And then when I do send personal follow-up, what am I now doing within these automations as well to continue the conversation naturally with our AIs, with our automations, with our drips that perfectly line up in a synergy from my own personal follow-up? Because then I can start recreating, okay, I know if I'm going to send this, then I'm going to do this personally, no matter what, if they get it or not, I'm still going to do this. And I'm going to let my automations do this, this, and this, and this, right? And so you can start even thinking about the daily and the weekly and eventually the monthly, and you start almost deconstructing that so your process is all fluid and together. And that takes some time. And that's why a lot of people say, you know what, I don't even want to think like that. I'm going to go purchase Jennifer Salter's course. He's already done it for me. You know?
Yeah, I actually want to look at that because I have to learn to allow these automations to run. I recently moved from Connecticut to South Florida. In Connecticut, this would have probably been a much different thing. I would have printed out something, some kind of pre-listing package or something, dropped it at the house. Can't do that here. You know, we're like probably like you, Juan, you deal with a lot of gated communities, and
Yeah.
you know, you just can't get the access to them. So you do have to be more reliant on those. I mean, I honestly, I mean, I do have my doubts about, email automation, but I did sign up for it. I have, and I will be learning about it. I have no problems for the next, I signed up for 6 months, seeing what happens, I'd love to be proven wrong. I mean, it's something I would say to my clients, when I'm wrong, it's usually good for you because I'm conservative in those regards.
I mean, I think it's like stuff like this where you can go in there and type in little emoji, beautiful gated community, right? Like you have to be where they are. And so if all you have is an address and email, then you now have to be like Jennifer Salter and get to it in the sense of, okay, how am I going to get that email open and received? Because all I have is your address and email. I can use trace systems and find tax records and do all that stuff to find their phone number, and great if you can, but I need to combine my automations with that experience and the personal follow-up and write their name and like say, John, or hey, Philip, quick question regarding your property on 133 Glenridge, right? People are more likely to see their name and an address if they see both of those and they're like, first of all, why is my address in there? That's where I need to open this, right? Because anybody gets this, like, I know as a homeowner recently, we sold our home from one place and moved to a part of the island. And I got a letter from the new homeowner's lawyer, basically trying to take us to small claims court for, you know, discrepancies in what they thought in the home inspection report and what we sold the homes like. And we ended up winning that big time because these guys were just nuts. But you get a letter like this and you got quickly go to like, what is my home doing in this? Why is my address in here? Like, why is anybody putting this is my personal space? You know, so you got to think about subject lines and things that automatically are going to get that person to go into it. Your
I
name.
actually put the, when I do email, when I anything, I actually put the property address as the subject line, 3123 Main Street, you know.
Okay,
So
perfect. So then when you go into that realm too, you know, like if you look at, you know, if I go to compose an email, I always also say like have, and Jennifer Salter talks about this, have Emojipedia pulled open, you know, why next to your email, you know, if you do something like a home emoji, for example, and then you go into this house and you click copy, and then you go into your subject line and you go, you know, regarding 133 Glenridge Avenue, right? Your Facebook value is on its way. Something like that, right? You could be like regarding 130, hey John, you know, you could go, or you can go like John on front, John Smith, you know, regarding 133 Glenridge Avenue, you can say like something like Facebook home value request, right?
Mhm.
And then when you get smart at using something like BombBomb, Philip, you can have something that's more evergreen or like, you know, templated. Like I do this all the time for my first, you know, for my demos. Well, I'll go like this and I'll throw that in there just like this, and it'll all kind of pre-populate because I've already made the video. See what I'm doing here? And you kind of you deconstruct that to like, okay, I'm going to add in their name and their address, and I'm just kind of, but a lot of the things you're going to kind of do and set up once you start thinking about common messages that you'll be sending out to everybody. And that's the power of that type of stuff. And then when you send that type of email from your personal email, BombBomb automatically throws these tracking components behind it. So you'll be able to see what's being opened. Like this is what I love most about it for me, because I send this out a lot, is if I'm going into Gmail and I'm kind of just tracking what's working, what's not. Well, this tracking component on my right-hand side, because I use the Chrome extension of BombBomb, it shows me who's getting what. So I know, okay, this person opened it. This person opened it. Look at the play there. There's a green button. There's a play. They've watched it 93%, longest watch 100%. You know, I'm seeing all this stuff, and I can actually filter it by opens, plays, clicks, sends, likes, comments, all, right? And that's pretty awesome, because if I want to see, wow, is anybody actually commenting on this? I'm getting a lot of people right now. Awesome, I'm glad it's did. Hi, Marcus, I joined to be your friend, right? Like, so it's phenomenal when you start using the stuff and learning how to use the system. Because now it just completely changes the communication style. Like in email, don't give yourself that limiting belief, Philip. Email can actually be very powerful, but now we got to just shift into relearn email.
Oh, yeah, and I mean, I don't want to say that I'm down on email. I mean, that's just, I mean, I actually have a degree in marketing. That's been my experience in a couple industries over life, you know, over time. You know, the fact that I've thrown my hat into this game here, you know, shows that I'm certainly willing to try. I'm kind of curious. I mean, I'm kind of curious to see it happen again. I'd love to be proven wrong.
And it's fun, you know, make it more fun, because at the end of the day, it's all about the ability to connect with that person.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you can get the play, I mean, the email open, the play, and then essentially you throw links in there all the time that really tries to connect with you. You know, I use Calendly, for example, and that's how you guys used book with here in these meetings, is how you book in all of one-on-ones. It's no different. We try to model everything. And I think the model too is you're looking for the relationship connection. So, you know, I'm a firm believer that, hey, you all were on Facebook as a homeowner. Like when I'm talking about your leads, they all found you on their personal Facebook newsfeed.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can reconnect with them on Facebook personally, your chances of really having a conversation skyrocket. Because if they connect with you on Facebook, and let's say you're able to get them to friend request you, or you friend request them, and you guys start using Facebook Messenger, now that's the gold mine, because now you can use friends as the friends list part of Facebook, and you start using Facebook as a CRM. Jennifer teaches that as well. And you can have these little pipelines that you're building within your own personal Facebook that it actually acts more like a CRM. And you can directly post things to certain type of lists that you've created. And basically what I love about Messenger is that once you get Messenger established, every time, number one, when they're home, because you can see it lit up in your Messenger chat. That's why I'm on it all day, because I'm like, hey, you guys want to work trial with me? Make sure I model it from the beginning with all of you. And anyone who's my coach, like I'm their coach, what's the first thing I try to get you to do? Is friend request me, message me on Facebook. I did it intentionally because I wanted to get you into our Facebook group. I wanted to make it feel like, hey, I'm not just working with Marcus trying to sell me on StreetText. Like, hey, come on and see what I'm all about. See what I love. See who I'm represent. See what, because I don't really care what you think about me. I do, but like, I'm going to be who I'm going to be, and I'm going to love what I'm going to love. And these are the values I hold to. This is my integrity. I'm creating my own tribe. You're welcome to be a part of it. And if you don't like it, no big deal. It wasn't a fit for you. But this is who I
I do
am.
not want to be part of your tribe in cold Canada at all. I'll just sit here and stare at my coconut tree.
You can be part of my virtual tribe.
Okay.
So that being said, it's because I wanted you guys all to see, I have 4 children, I have a life, like chickens, fun things, all these things going on. And I think ultimately people are looking for that connection. They want an experienced realtor, of course, someone that's knowledgeable, that's going to have their best interests in mind, is going to lead with integrity and all that good stuff. But some of the times it's the no and like that begins that. And they're like, you put your best effort to connect personally, to build rapport, basic winning friends and influencing people. Hey, you love the Raiders, I love the Raiders, right? You love dogs, I love simple stuff. You make that connection based on profiling people. You look for where you have a commonality already. So it's not always like, what's the updates or renovations you've done? These are people that want the home value, but come on, take it to the next level. See if you can create a relationship opportunity. And if you make that the focus, this is where the leads are going to become relationships for you. And these relationships are naturally going to be like, come on over, let's have it, show me the, the true market value. And then that's where you have your listing presentation ready, your paper's ready to go. You sign that listing agreement, and, you just start building the referral model from them too, because they want to tell you all about that experience they had. And you ask all the right questions, and you get a buyer out of it and all that good stuff, right? So I think it's just ultimately we limit ourselves, but we need to expand that. And even with these address onlys, I always challenge people with your address onlys, send a piece of mail, but have fun with that piece of mail, and literally tell that person on that piece of mail that, hey, I received your Facebook. I received your address from Facebook, by the way. You can say that in your mailer. And I don't assume it's you that requested this home value. I know, your house is in an area that's in the hot market. There's a lot of buyers looking for this actual home, your home. You can say sometimes it's a family member playing a fun joke. Sometimes it's just a nosy neighbor. It could even be another realtor, right? But I always make sure I get it back to the homeowner's hands. So something to think about. And this is where people are using QR codes. So there's always solutions to every type of lead you generate. You just got to get into our Facebook Insider group and start searching. There's a great little magnifying glass in there that you can search for almost any topic, and then just be bombarded by threads and discussions about that particular subject. And obviously the ones that are the most recent with the most comments are the ones you probably want to start reading, because people are literally showing you what they're doing and how they're doing it. And that goes with the integrations they're using. That's going how they're using email, how they're producing CMAs and what they're providing or not providing. There's all of that in there. But it's relearning some things, because we do education a little bit differently. Just like you guys are all here, that's it. I wish I can give you like follow this script, you're going to get 10 appointments. No, because you're going to all have your own way of doing this. Follow someone, find someone that you can connect with, that you have, you admire in our group and can see yourself doing similar things with. But there's no one person, there's a lot. And that's why you need to come to the masterminds starting tomorrow at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 12 p.m. Eastern. that's where you learn the most, and that's where you ask the questions. You know, you got Juan talking today, but imagine this times 10 with people that are out, most of which are doing and have experienced multiple transactions with StreetText. So you get firsthand knowledge of what they did, how long it took them, and so forth. Cool. Any other questions before I let you guys go? Awesome.
Thank you much.
Yeah, thank you. I'll see you next week, same time. Thanks, guys.